Brr, 28 degrees, 7:51. February 29. We haven't had a February 29 in 4 years. I'm not prepared to do the weather, but Rex is prepared and urgently needed to go out the door. So this is a quick provisional out the door. Where's the flag? More on that later. How's the ice bucket doing? Not solid. How's that going to be doing later? A couple leaves in there, but it is ice. Wonder if it'll be solid when I go out the door to do the full weather. Let's try and run out there. Tiny bit of snow. Actually snowed really hard for about an hour in the middle of the night last night. Not much rain. And those downpours about 0.24 and 5.7 yesterday, so that gets us to an 0.81 for the event. We had a 40-hour thaw. It's freezing out again. And I think there's even a little bit of ice down there on the beach I saw earlier. Yeah, a little ice down there. It's freezing for one day in a row. Coldest air mass of the winter so far. Wait, it's the last day of the winter. All right, I'll be back with the full weather in a few minutes. I guess we qualify this as an inch of snow. Where it blew off the side of the house, kind of fell down. All right, going back in. Let's go study the weather, Rex. Come back out in a little while and do more. All right, now let's do the real out the door with the weather and more. Weather forecast, that is. 31 degrees at 10:09. It's a leap day, February 29th. The first one since Saturday, February 29th in 2020. And the last time we had a February 29th, we were coming off a 2-day snowstorm, 3-day snowstorm that dropped more than 30 inches of snow in northern Vermont. Those were the good old leap years, weren't they? It's snowing in northern Vermont a little bit right now. Well, at least we have white air at J Peak. Not a lot of lifts running today. It's just too windy and too cold. Wildcat says, no, we're not going to run today. Magic says no. Okemo says yes. Stowe's trying to run some lifts. We've got flaky clouds here coming across Boston. Just about anybody can see a snowflake. That's the nature of an Arctic air mass. Talked about it a couple days ago with the 510 thickness. This is Arctic air and some of the coldest air of the winter going over our head on the last day of meteorological winter. That is today. Meteorological spring begins on March 1st. The wind on Mount Washington last night gusted to 147 miles per hour. That was the strongest wind gust since December 23rd, 2022. Two winters ago. The temperature on Mount Washington got to minus 13.9. Let's call it minus 14. The coldest so far this winter. I guess that's going to be the coldest of the winter, isn't it? All right, there goes Steve making a run for it. The ice bucket is ice again. So we've only had non-ice for one day in the last 2 weeks. That was yesterday. So we've already been out once, right? Earlier, I showed you some snow that was on the ground, tiny bit of snow on the ground. So, mostly not a snowstorm. But the rain wasn't that bad. However, the storm was ramping up. I'm going to back off out of the wind again. The storm was ramping up as it exited New England. So I snagged a map. I've been up since like 4 in the morning now. I've been trying to get all this weather in my head. You know, these are unscripted, one-take efforts here. Anyhow, just after sunrise, as the wind was dying down, I mean, I had some gusts to 50 to 60 come through here before I was able to capture the maps. But this one from about 7 o'clock, I think, in the morning, it shows Frenchville, Maine. They are at 8 degrees with the wind gusting to 47 miles per hour. And it was still warm enough for rain in New Brunswick to the east of Maine as the front was coming through. And Ryan in New Brunswick shared this image along with the statistic. More than 164 millimeters of rain fell in New Brunswick, Canada overnight. That's 6.45 inches of rain and there's widespread flooding, and now it's getting cold, like the same kind of cold that's coming into New England. Here's the latest graphic showing the temperatures over New Brunswick falling through the 20s. Are those floods going to freeze in place? This is another in this series of severe winter storms. A parade of storms just seems endless. This one deepened last night to 966 millibars in northern Quebec. That's equivalent to 28.53 inches on your barometer. And the front extends to now just getting into Newfoundland all the way down to the coast in southern Mexico. So this front extends nearly 4,000 miles. What a series of storms. It's high pressure to the south of New England today that's generating this wind and chill. That high is going to race east, and when highs go south of us, we warm up quickly. So by tomorrow, we're back up into the 40s around here at my house. And then it's really kind of a tough call. The series of storms coming in off the Pacific Ocean now are making headlines with the blizzard warnings in the Tahoe, well, south of Tahoe, the Sierra Nevada in California. And there's a powerful storm kind of looping south of Alaska. Look at that, 972 low headed towards the southwest. That's a blizzard loop south of Alaska, and it's sending this major front. It's not exactly a storm, it's more like a front onto the west coast of the Pacific with just a torrent of rain and wind coming in off the Pacific. It's anomalous cold. Let's look at the 500 millibar chart. I know there's El Nino going on, but this has more to do with the anomalous cold that's coming down out of the North Pacific there. That purple with the white, that's 500 millibar anomaly, and that drives into the west coast. And so that storm comes into the west coast, and then what happens when it crosses the nation? Time out. Rex wants to go in the door. All right. For the most part, even though it's very cold, we are in a warm pattern now in the eastern United States. Relatively speaking, you know, warm can be the 40s and 50s this time of year. And that's pretty much what we're going to get in Boston. So let's put the lower 48 into motion with the Euro here. And there goes our high pressure system offshore, and the storm's coming onto the west coast. Now I want to freeze it on Saturday afternoon. You see that low in Montana, what is it, a 986 or 89, something like that, with a heavy band of blue snow extending from Montana and through the Rockies and into California. And that low is going to be moving to our north. At the same time, there's another low over the mid-Atlantic states. You see that? It's only about a 1017. That's sort of a hybrid high barometer nor'easter, really, that's developing. I'll put these back into motion, and that low to the south of New England is going to generate a flow in off the ocean with a water temperature only in the low 40s. And it's more of a southeast wind, so maybe we'll make 50 degrees or so. And that's going to be here for Saturday late, all day Sunday, into Monday, finally going by on Tuesday. And we may end up with inches of rain off and on, with sort of too warm for snow but chilly weather here in southern and eastern New England, Saturday night, Sunday, Monday. And then now the Wednesday front is back. Well, Wednesday night, early Thursday, there it is. Just cold enough for rain, perhaps changing to snow late next Thursday into Friday in southern New England. And then next Saturday, once again, there's a weak low to the south and a fairly strong high to the north of New England. That too is going to induce a flow from the east and northeast. So we are going into a fairly mild and rather wet pattern here, especially in southern and eastern New England, maybe different in northern and western New England, with just minor intrusions of cold in an overall warm pattern. That's the way it looks from here. But there's still plenty of cold on the map. Don't count winter out. As usual, I get my text from Josh Worth up in northern Vermont. Sends this video from this morning, driving along, saying he's just frustrated. He says his wife can't even leave the house because she doesn't have a foot of clearance beneath her car. You need a foot of clearance now. The roads that are dirt roads in northern Vermont, where we've had, 4 mud seasons already, are frozen solid with ruts today. So traveling the high country of northern Vermont, you need a really good clearance, all-wheel drive vehicle. Today, not a bad day to skip skiing. I think it is going to get warm enough, though, for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that some enjoyable skiing is going to be here. You might want to give it a little time to soften up each day, but not quite classic spring skiing, but certainly less than the hard pack we're going to endure today and tomorrow morning. And my goal is to join you on the ski slopes this weekend. Got my eye on Hope on the Slopes fundraiser for cancer at J on Sunday. Hope to see you there. Flaky clouds abound. Cats having a ball chasing leaves. So yesterday, not much. We went out the door again late in the day. It was not raining most of the day, but then last night, the rain came in, and pretty unusual, changed to snow pretty quickly. And I was kind of in and out of sleep with that last night. All right, here's and more, and more, and more, and more.
On the mend.
I like that clock. It's big. It tells you what day it is. Not much has changed since going out the door this morning. It's still 56 degrees. It's just close to 5:30, and there's still that lightning bolt there, and we're still expecting maybe a thunderstorm. But it hasn't rained really, and the wind hasn't been that bad. But we're still expecting worse. So I'm going to take the flag down. Let's set up the tripod and get a time lapse of that. I was wondering if anyone else was going to show up. You chase leaves. I'm going to do the flag. Get that leaf. So I'm going to set up my tripod over here and then try and use my light and headset, and hopefully you'll be able to hear me even though the camera's going to be kind of far away. What I mean is I got my headset on now and I want to do a little time lapse and talk while I'm doing it, but I'm not sure that my headset works that well when I'm more than 10 feet away from the camera. So does this work? 10 feet, 11, 12, 13. The birds did not eat today, which is weird. Why did the birds not eat today? The maximum wind gusts so far, oh my gosh, something's been eating my rope. The birds are eating the line. The thing I checked here, the line was about to break. You can't see that, but the line is broken. I gotta put a new line on also. So I'm gonna tie a knot here. I'm gonna get a new line tomorrow. I'm glad we had this windy day. The wind really hasn't materialized. The strongest winds on Blue Hill were actually 54 miles per hour before midnight, and then 65 miles an hour before sunrise. So in the entire day, when the wind advisory has been in effect, we have not had really too many damaging wind gusts. But I think that the heaviest weather is about to come, and even though I'm not impacted by the southerly wind, when the air comes in from the northwest, I will definitely be affected. And my headset just said I'm disconnected, so you probably can't hear me. So I'm not sure if you could hear me over there, but something chewed through the lines. So I'm glad that I had to take the flag down, otherwise I would have lost it. I had a dream that I lost the flagpole last night. I keep having those dreams. And I'm not sure if you can hear me through the headset or through the phone, but you may have lost my headset. While I was over there, it said headset disconnected. Anyhow, it hasn't been that windy, and it has not rained all day, but the front's on the way. So out of an abundance of caution, and thankfully, I gotta put a new line up. The flag is down, we're going inside. Steve is having a ball chasing the leaves. Not sure where Rex is. That determination. It was on wide angle, so if I close it in a little bit, there he is. And yes, Bodie was named after Bodie Miller. And Steve was named after Steve Prefontaine and my cousin Steve Kelly. And Mitt and Steve are not brothers. They're distant, non-blood cousins. And Mitt was named Mitt because he's got huge mitts. Still 56 degrees. The weather really hasn't changed too much all day long. Looks weird with our flag up there, doesn't it? All right, and more and more and more. Unless I see lightning in the middle of the night, this may be it. If it changes to snow, it's going to be after midnight, so I'm not sure I'm going to be out for that. But maybe, who knows? Let's see how the night goes. Night moves. I think on my first try, I did a little too much milk, not enough cheese, too many breadcrumbs, but I bet it tastes really good. I'll let you know.